Kusewera nkogoma kwambiri lyatira ntonesese kuti COVID-19 isayimise mioyo yathu kuti tikhayoterezeka pomwe tikusewera ndi kuphunzira zina ndi zina. Unduna wa zomwe mabwesa katemera wa COVID-19 wa Pfizer yemwe akuperekedwa kwa ana amene tili ndi zaka 12 kapena kuposerapo. Tikupempha makolo onse kuti mutilole ana ife kulandira katemera ameneyi kuti tikhayoterezeka tisadwalike kugonekedwa mchipatala kapena kumwalira ndi COVID-19. Ana anzanga omwe tili ndi zaka 12 kapena kupita msogolo tiyapemphe makolo kapena akuluakulu omwe akutisunga kuti atilole ife kulandira katemera ameneyi kuti tikhayoterezeka ndi kuteteza anthu am'mabanja athu.
Hello, my name is Bernard Mwansa with a news bulletin coming up. Pope Francis says coveting wealth and possessions can blind us to the true goods of life. Parliament refers the Banking Amendment Bill to the Budget and Finance Committee for further scrutiny. Malawi National Examinations Board (MANEB) has assured the public of tight security during administration of 2022 JCE examinations. In other news, Zambia reduces prices of petroleum products amid currency appreciation. We have these and many other stories. Stay there. A day after returning to Rome from his week-long trip to Canada, Pope Francis on Sunday reflected on the dangers of coveting wealth and possessions. In Sunday's Gospel, Jesus responds to a man who wants his brother to share his inheritance with him, as shown in the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 15. The Holy Father noted that rather than entering into the details of the man's situation, he goes to the root of the divisions caused by the possessions of things, which is covetousness. We have a report.
Speaking to pilgrims in St. Peter's Square before the weekly recitation of the Angelus, Pope Francis asked as to what covetousness is. He said it is the unbridled greed for possessions, always desiring to be rich. The Holy Father warned that this is an illness that destroys people because the hunger for possessions creates an addiction, and above all, those who have a lot are never content. They always want more and only for themselves. The Pope identified covetousness as a dangerous illness for society as well, pointing to the greed that fuels wars and in particular the scandal of the arms trade. The Pope next shifted to focus on the richness of God. He said it is beautiful to become rich, but rich according to God, as He is the richest of anyone. Pope Francis concluded by asking Our Lady, who shared in God's riches, to help us understand what the true goods of life are, the ones that last forever. Following his reflection, the Pope thanked all those who assisted him on his trip to Canada, while assuring those suffering from the war in Ukraine that they remain in his prayers.
That's Tandiwe Mzumara reading a Catholic News Agency report. Catholic bishops of Africa meeting in Accra, Ghana, for their 19th plenary assembly Saturday elected Ghanaian Cardinal designate Bishop Richard Kua Baobi as the new president of the Symposium of Episcopal Conferences of Africa and Madagascar, SECAM. The Cardinal designate is the current Bishop of Wa in Ghana. He takes over as second president from Cardinal Philippe Odrago of Burkina Faso, who has been at the organization's helm since July 2019. Also elected with the Bishop Baobi are two vice presidents, Cardinal Fridolin Ambogo Mbesungu of the Archdiocese of Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, and Bishop Lucio Andres Mwandula of the Diocese of Janjai in Mozambique. The three SECAM officials represent a careful balance of Africa's Anglophone, Francophone, and Lusophone countries. As one way of building the church culture, Catholic faithful at St. Martyrs Parish in Lumbadzi, which is under the Catholic Archdiocese of Lilongwe, on Sunday celebrated 35 years anniversary. During the Mass, Father Christopher Losimndara, a visiting priest from Mwanza Parish in the Archdiocese of Luntha, emphasized much of his preaching on vanity of vanities. We have more in this report compiled by Faris Chizombe.
Father Christopher Losimndala urged the gathering to thank God for blessing them with different gifts such as life, families, jobs, businesses, just to mention but a few. Father Mndala quoted the letter of Paul by reminding Christians to bless God through supporting church activities and other needy people. During the ceremony, a minute of silence was observed as a sign of remembering the lives of the first church priests and Christians who died way back. Several activities were lined up to spice up the event, like fundraising. Kaliati utilized the platform in teaching against sexual-related and domestic violence. Augustine Kaliu held the Honorable Minister Barisha Kaliati for blessing the event and gifts she presented to the church. He further urged the minister to make more visits to the church. St. Matthias Parish was established on 26 July in 1987. Reporting for Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Faris Chizombe.
Parliament has referred Bill 30 of 2022, which is the Banking Amendment Bill, to the Committee of Budget and Finance for review and clarification. This was done after the Minister of Finance, Honorable Sosini Gwengwe, read the second time the bill in Parliament. The bill, in which the House is seeking amendment, will, after being revised, provide options for dealing with failing banks and also help enhance the legal framework for error interventions and resolution of banks. Jacqueline Saidi has more in this report.
In his second reading of the Bank Amendments Bill, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Sostin Gungwe, said the bill seeks to allow the amendment of some sections of the Banking Act, more especially in how the country can be dealing with failing banking institutions. Through the reading, Honorable Gungwe indicated that if Chapter 444.01 of the Banking Act is amended, it will help in providing more options for dealing with failing banks, especially by enhancing the legal framework, looking at how inadequate the current one is.
Be now read a second time. Madam Speaker, the bill before the House seeks to amend the Banking Act, Chapter 444.01, in order to provide more options for dealing with failing banks and enhance the legal framework for early interventions and resolution of banks. The current legal framework, as contained in the Banking Act and the Financial Services Act, is inadequate and requires significant reforms to align it with best practices. Madam Speaker, the review of the Banking Act started in 2013 and established that our legal framework for dealing with problem banks was weak and needed enhancement. For instance, A review of the current legal framework, which started in 2013, established that bank liquidation procedures were and still are court-based.
In response to the Red Bill, which is number 30 of 2022, Parliament spokesperson for DPP, Honorable Raf Juma, said the bill currently dwells much on statutory management. Emphasizing on the amendment, Honorable Juma noted that if done, it will help in beefing up the legal framework to allow interventions to rescue failing banking institutions, and that if the worst comes to the worst, for the banks to have a better resolution.
Speaker, the intention is to beef up the legal framework to allow for early interventions that may rescue a failing bank, but if need be that the bank be resolved, then to have a better resolution. I want to agree, Madam Speaker, that banks are highly vulnerable operations, and the last thing that can be allowed is for its clients to lose confidence in its financial stability. By definition, banking business, Madam Speaker, is a business of taking deposits which are payable on demand, although in some instances they are payable after an expiration of an agreed period. The primary test, therefore, of every bank is on its proof of liquidity. In other words, a bank should always be able to satisfy individual demands of withdrawals of its depositors.
The House has since allowed for the Banking Amendment Bill to be reviewed by the Parliamentary Committee of Budget and Finance. Among others, the bill gives power to the Registrar of Financial Institutions to facilitate mandatory recapitalization of failing banks through acquisition of additional shares by existing shareholders or offer of shares to new investors. For Luntha Television News in Lilongwe, this is Jacqueline Saidi.
Minister of Civic Education and National Unity, Honorable Timothy Pagonachi Mtambo, has said his ministry is committed to supporting innovations as a way to boost socio-economic development in the country, which is in line with the Malawi 2063 vision. He was speaking during an education information dissemination event which was organized by Discom Communications Limited, which, among other things, they awarded young innovators. Mtambo further called for relevant stakeholders to support young local talent if the country is to achieve its vision as Malawi is commercialized with the digital world. Bridget Manoka has more in this report.
Speaking to journalists after the event, Minister of Civic Education and National Unity, Timothy Pagonachi Mtambo, said Malawi is a young people's country which is commercialized with the digital world, and that there is need to support innovation skills, which has proven to help improve the well-being of people on a daily basis. He then thanked Discom Communications Limited for the platform which young people are now able to showcase their skills, giving an example of an 18-year-old boy, Eva Sibanda, from Area 36 in Lilongwe, who showcased his drone he developed at the event. Mtambo further said a lot of young people in the country have talents but lack support, therefore calling relevant stakeholders to intervene.
Malawi is a blessed country. There are many young people who are talented, but I think they have not been given a platform to show their talents, their innovations. And I think action is the best teacher. If we can be able to assemble them and give them the platform for them to speak to the country, this country will take a very different direction and a special direction.
Discom Communications Limited Managing Director Dorini Dalitsogayoyo said that this is part of their new LCD program where they want people to change their mindset and start supporting young innovators who are complementing efforts in innovating the gadgets, as this will promote not only the country but their lives too.
This LCD program, this mindset change program, is a complementary tool for us in the education sector, because it is targeting the psychosocial issues that are happening in the sector of education.
18-year-old Eva Sibanda, who developed a drone, said he's glad for the talent but asked the government to recognize the talents that young people have, saying there are a lot of them doing crucial developments, but most of them go unnoticed, while others are recognized when they die.
With the course of building drones, I did also a fixed-wing drone whereby I used the model of the first airplane, which was launched on 1903 on 17th of December by Wright brothers. So that drone I represented in the African Basket Festival, and I was the finalist from here in Malawi, and they gave me a lab award whereby we had to access resources from the lab there in Zimbabwe.
Honorable Ntambo has, however, urged people to stop depending on government alone, but take responsibility of recognizing innovators. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Bridget Manoka.
Minister of Tourism, Culture and Wildlife says good road network plays crucial role in business, in wildlife and tourism sector. Minister responsible, Dr. Michael Usi, said this at Luntha National Park over the weekend during a translocation exercise of 250 elephants from Luntha National Park to Kasungu. And Nandolo compiled a report being read by Rashida Matandika.
Elephants are among the families. He then advised people to avoid poaching and assured them that government will continue giving them initiatives that will help them bring food on the table.
Indeed, when you look at roads, they are an enabler for this business. You can't talk of tourism as a business if you're not talking about the roads infrastructure, because it is the roads that take people to the destinations. So you are right. We are focusing on roads. We are focusing on the air connection, that's the flights from other countries to Malawi. So it is part of the integral component of tourism development program in Malawi. I also ordered the rangers that when they are out there in the bush, they meet a poacher who is armed, they should use their guns to punish that poacher, because if they don't use their guns, they're going to be killed. But when they are killed in the community, that's the first line of communication. Just talk to them, that they should understand who rangers are, the value of wildlife to the socio-economic development of this country. But when it comes to poachers, we have no kind ways for them. They will meet the bullet.
Commenting on the relations between African parks and the communities around national parks, Chief Executive also said now the relations of parks and the communities are better following the angry mob that killed a game ranger at Luntha National Park last month this year.
The relationship with the communities is very good. A key part of any managing a national park is to make sure that the relationship with the communities is very good. So government can ask us to come and manage, and we can say yes, and we can be successful because government invites us. But if the relationship with the communities is not good, then that's difficult. And that's also why we are moving some of the elephants from Luntha here, is because
50 elephants from Luntha National Park to Kasungu in a move to decrease the number of elephants that sometimes cause havoc to people around Luntha National Park. Since 2006, about 1,000 elephants have been translocated from one national park to another within Malawi.
Rashida Matandika reading a report compiled by Andrew Nandolo. Remember that you are watching our news bulletin coming to you live from our Bishop Navy Media Center in Lilongwe. Before we proceed, let's take another look at our main stories. Pope Francis says coveting wealth and possessions can blind us to the true goods of life. Parliament refers the Banking Amendment Bill to the Budget and Finance Committee for further scrutiny. Malawi National Examinations Board (MANEB) has assured the public of tight security during administration of 2022 JCE examinations. In other news, Zambia reduces prices of petroleum products amid currency appreciation. Moving on, human rights activists belonging to the coalition Citizens Against Impunity have pointed fingers at the ruling Malawi Congress Party, claiming it orchestrated the abduction of Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiatives seated Executive Director Sylvester
Namiwa, who had a news conference on Monday in Lilongwe, showed reporters some of the bruises he claims to have suffered, alleged that the gangsters were sent by MCP officials to throw spanners into the planned protest. Namiwa said he is aware of the names of the individuals and has since reported them to Malawi Police Service. Namiwa claims he survived the attack with 6 scratches, 2 cuts on the right leg, 2 cuts from the teeth bite on the right hand, 2 cuts on the outer throat, 1 cut on the neck, 1 cut on the left elbow, a stiff neck, and a dislocated left knee. He said the rights group will publicize the names should the Malawi Police Service fail to act accordingly.
We believe that our police is very professional, our police is non-partisan, and the information we have given the police is overwhelming, so much that we don't see a reason whatsoever why they should drag their feet or make a shameless attempt to cover up, because doing so will prompt us to flush out those criminal minds.
Last week, MCP refuted social media rumors linking the party to a Namiwa's abduction. Malawi Police Service said it was investigating the matter. Seated of Namiwa was the leading rights group of last Thursday's nationwide demonstrations in a bid to force President Lazarus Chakwera to scrap off his immunity. Chakwera made the promise during his campaign in the run-up to the court-sanctioned June 2020 presidential poll. The Malawi president has come under public wrath for defaulting his own pledges. The president is also on record as having said scrapping off his powers is not his target now. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I'm Hilbert Katanda.
The Malawi National Examinations Board, MANEP, has said all preparations for the 2022 Junior Certificate of Education JCE are on track, as the board expects to administer this examination to 159,946 candidates from the 2nd to 11th of August 2022. According to MANEP Executive Director Professor Dorothy Nampota, security measures are also in place to ensure credible examination administration. Anafe Piri has more in this report.
Through a media statement by MANEP signed by its Executive Director Professor Dorothy Nampota, a total of 159,946 candidates with 80,357 female and 79,589 male candidates are expected to sit for the 2022 Junior Certificate of Education JCE examinations from the 2nd to the 11th of August this year. The board has announced that all necessary preparations are on track, with consideration of special needs candidates who will be handled in accordance with guidelines MANEP developed. For instance, Braille candidates will write the exams in separate rooms with special invigilators and at a time, while low-vision candidates will be given large print papers, write the exams with regular candidates with no added time, and candidates with severe physical challenges affecting functionality of their muscles will be examined orally, hence will be given a scribe and an invigilator. MANEP has since warned candidates to shun away from vandalism and cheating during the exam period, for offenders of such malpractice who will be punished using relevant MANEP regulations. MANEP has so far already administered the Primary School Leaving Certificate of Education PSLCE exams, which commenced on the 13th to 15th of July 2022. The Malawi School Certificate of Education MACE exams are since expected to commence on 30th August to 22nd September 2022, with a total of 152,589 candidates. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Alina Fipiri.
To ascertain that young people, especially girls, are getting gender-based violence messages, the Foundation for Civic Education and Social Empowerment, an organization working to promote girls and young women's rights with much focus on eliminating sexual and gender-based violence in Baraka district, organized various games which saw girls competing by playing football and netball, bringing together 18 local teams that brought together young people in the district. According to the organization's advocacy officer, Priska Kumsida, the games were a way of changing a routine in gender-based advocacy as young people are attracted by sporting activities, hence attentive to receive gender-based violence messages. Our reporter Rashida Matandika reports from Balaka.
Gender-based violence has been an all-time and endless song, but talking to young people who are highly affected has been a challenge. To change the channel of information dissemination, Foundation for Civic Education and Social Empowerment, FOCES, an organization that promotes girls and women's rights in Balaka district, decided to advocate against the malpractice through sports where girls competed in netball and football games. Speaking on the day of the finals of the trophy competition, which saw 18 clubs play, Priska Kumsida, advocacy officer at FOCES, said the main message behind the games was the GBV information because the games attracted not only the players but also spectators who needed the information as well.
We are satisfied. As you can see, the turn-up today was good, and also we are satisfied because right now we feel like most of these young people are now more informed about issues of gender-based violence than they were. So right now we expect that there will be more cases reported of gender-based violence and there will be change in the communities.
Chairperson of netball in the Eastern region, Paul Kapala, commended FOCES for using sports in their advocacy, saying it is a good medium for such messages.
Pajatu mpira ndi chida chotengera uthenga. Mukhoza kuona ngakhale mene abwererapo anthu abwerapo osata mpirawo ndiye kuti anafuna kupezerapo mwayi wa anthu amenewo pofalisapo uthenga umene.
18 clubs in Balaka competed for the trophy, which saw leading teams both in football and netball going home with a prize of 100,000 kwacha cash. For Luntha TV in Balaka, this is Rashida Matandika reporting.
Now, another sporting activity, TNM Super League Giants Silver Strikers have sacked head coach Daniel Kabwe after identifying catalogue of his failings at the club. The Reserve Bank-sponsored side have made their decision after he signed a one-year performance-based contract with the club. We have more on this report by King Major Kamwendo.
Daniel Kawe, who is a Zambian international, took over in 2020-2021 season and led the Central Bankers to FDH Bank Cup title before finishing as runners-up in the both TNM Super League and the Top 8 Cup respectively, but they are 16 points behind league leaders Nyasa Big Bullets. But after the Area 47 side started the 2022 campaign on a very low note, despite making some signings, including Emmanuel Muira and Hade Ngandu from Chitipa United, and Jawananga Kaonga, who rejoined the club after spending some years abroad. Apart from lagging behind in terms of the title race, Silver Strikers also exited the FDH Bank Cup competition after losing 5-4 to the Dynamos and had their first defeat at home to Mafco FC last week. The Zambian was replaced on the suspicion after the club lost 3-1 to Bulles and was finally relieved of his duties on Saturday. According to the club's statement, it says the club is informing all the supporters, football stakeholders and the general public that the head coach Daniel Kawe has been relieved of his duties effective immediately. The decision has been arrived at based on the team's performance. The statement continues to say the current interim arrangement of the coaching panel will be maintained until further communication from the club. Coach Daniel Kabwe will be remembered for his winning the FDH Bank Cup, finishing second in 2020-2021 season, and also finishing as runners-up of the Airtel Top 8 Cup. The Bankers' haul of 26 points after their 16 league games is their worst tally of this stage of the season in many years. At this stage last season, the Area 47 side were top of the table with 8 points and nearly won the championship, but bowed down to pressure exerted by Bulles, who ended up winning the title. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is King Major Kamwendo.
In other news, Zambia's Energy Regulation Board has reduced the price of petrol from the current 26 26 kwacha 75 ngwe per liter to 23 kwacha 19 ngwe per liter. This is a reduction by 3 kwacha 56 ngwe, and the change has been effected at midnight on Sunday. The board has also reduced diesel from the current 28 kwacha 1 ngwe per liter to 24 kwacha 87 ngwe per liter. ERB board chairperson Reynolds Boa said the adjustment downwards of petroleum products was due to the movements of fuel in the international market and a favorable performance of the Zambian kwacha. Boa, during a press briefing in Lusaka on Sunday, said also that the current pump price of kerosene had also dropped from the current 21 kwacha 27 ngwe to 18 kwacha 43 ngwe per liter. Well, on that note, we have come to the very end of our 7:30 news bulletin here on Luntha Television. But before we go, another look at our top stories. Pope Francis says coveting wealth and possessions can blind us to the true goods of life. Parliament refers the Banking Amendment Bill to the Budget and Finance Committee for further scrutiny. Malawi National Examinations Board (MANEB) has assured the public of tight security during administration of 2022 JCE examinations. In other news, Zambia reduces prices of petroleum products amid currency appreciation. I thank you for watching, and this has been Brennan Manza. On behalf of the entire newsroom, I say goodbye for now.